Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are going to be working on a few different projects, nothing major, but there are those little things that I have to get done and I keep putting them off. And I just thought if I do it with you guys, I'm going to be forced to do it, and I thought it would be more enjoyable that way. So first thing is potting up some verbena. We actually seeded that together a while ago. We actually did verbena, a grass, and I think black-eyed Susan in the same tray. And what happened was a couple of those seed packets were really old, like 4 years old or something like that. So those didn't come up, and I was kind of expecting that. We had 3 grasses come up, and then the verbena did really well. So I was totally expecting that. Now they're getting kind of big. I do need to uppot them. I don't like to uppot things. I've talked about that before. This is why I like to seed everything on schedule. That way I'm not having to uppot anything, but they are getting big. So we're going to move them up. We're going to bump them up into 4-inch containers. And then I have a ton of dahlia seeds that I saved from our dahlias last year that I want to go ahead and seed. Here's the fun thing about dahlias is you can discover the next cafe au lait if you saved your own seeds and you're going to grow them from seeds, because you never know what you're going to get. And we've talked about this before. I'll link the video down below. Dahlias are so genetically diverse that you can actually discover a whole new dahlia that's never been seen before just by growing them from seed. How cool is that? And the third thing we're going to be doing today is putting together a little tabletop garden arrangement. I was at the garden center the other day, just walking around, minding my own business, admiring all of the pretty flowers, and I got inspired to put something together. I thought it would be cute to put a little arrangement either in our cut flower garden, or we can set it up on our table, on our deck, just something to add a little bit more color and spring vibes. Again, I'm just trying to attract more of that warm weather. So this is my way of doing it, is bringing more color and more flowers into our garden. And I feel like that's going to send the spring weather our way. So let's go ahead and start by potting up our verbena. We'll do our dahlia seeds and then we will get to the container. These are the verbena that we're going to be potting up, and we started these in the middle of January, late January, I think, and they've done so well. This one here, I think there's 2 seeds, so there's 2 in here. So I might try to thin these out and pot this one up on its own. Same with this one. I can't quite tell yet until I lift them to see what's going on. And then the sea oats that we planted, these were also super old. So the fact that 3 or 4 of them came up was a pretty nice little surprise. So we'll pot these up. And then the Cherokee Sunset Rudbeckia didn't do anything. And I kind of expected it because that seed packet was so old. But I was like, you know what? It's here. Let's just see what happens. I thought I was using the new one, but it was actually the old one. But I did seed more of these and they're doing great. So we'll get those taken care of. And then I have some 4-inch containers that we're going to be using. I'm just going to use some good potting soil to uppot these. All right, let's get these all filled up and we'll just create little craters for them and pop these out and see what they look like. Oh yeah, these roots look really good. Wow, wow, wow. Look at how nice those look. We're just gonna pop them in the center there. That's it. I'm gonna go ahead and fertilize them as well. I'll just use an all-purpose fertilizer and use it at half strength. I think I have some liquid one that I like to use for all of our seedlings. But once your seedlings form their first set of true leaves, you can go ahead and start fertilizing them every, I don't know. It depends on my schedule and if I remember. But I try to do it at least once a week. That will really get them growing well and then get them prepped to be transplanted outdoors. Now, because these are doing so well, I might start hardening these off pretty quickly here. Maybe in a couple more weeks, I will start transitioning them outdoors. That way we can get them in the landscape sooner, and it will free up some more space in our seed starting room. So I guess that was one benefit of getting these started a little bit early, and well, not necessarily early, but seeing how well they've done, that now we can just get them outdoors quicker. I just love finding any excuse to be out here on these nice days and just doing something with soil and plants. It's so good for the soul, isn't it? Like, it's just the best thing, especially when you're having a hard day or a hard week or a hard month. It's just the best. I think I can separate these, but you know what? They're doing really well together. So why don't I pot up this one that we just removed? Let's see how this does. It had pretty good roots. And then this is what's left right here. And we will pot this up. And if I see that they're competing with each other, I will go ahead and just snip one off in a couple of weeks. But I don't think I double seeded these. I'm not sure though. I can't remember. Usually if I double seed, I do it pretty far apart. So for example, if I'm doing 2 or 3 seeds per cell, I like to kind of spread them out a little bit. That way I know I used more seeds per cell, and it'll be a little bit easier to thin them out that way. All right, this last little guy, we'll just tuck in. Let's cover your little feet up. Sometimes I refer to the roots as feet. Just putting that out there. And now let's see our northern oats here, how these look. Roots look okay, not as developed as I thought they would be, but they still look good. So we will get these potted up. But it's always so nice when you can say, I grew that from seed. It's such a satisfying feeling, especially with things that are going to be a perennial in your garden. I think you just have a higher appreciation for it. So what I'll do is go ahead and just get rid of all of this, rinse out this tray, get it all nice and cleaned, and then we can just use it again for something else. All right, I did find some fertilizer. So this is the one that I like to use for our seedlings. It's just the Espoma Organic Grow All-Purpose Plant Food. And you're going to mix half cup, that's 2 teaspoons per quart of water, right? Per quart, yeah. So I think this is about a 1 gallon. I think this is 1 gallon, I'm not sure. So we'll do half rate for our seedlings here. I guess I could have just done one. A little bit more. That's perfect. And then I will add water, and then we will get these guys all fed. All right, we will just get these labeled and we are good to go. So happy to get this done. Okay, here are the dahlia seeds that I saved from our dahlias last year. I still have some that I need to separate from the chaff, but we do have quite a bit in here. And let's see, where is she? Oh, here we go. Venus. Look at all of those pretty seeds from our dahlia. Venus, look at this. And we did a whole video on how to save your dahlia seeds, which again, I will link down below. But in this pile of seeds, there are going to be some beautiful dahlias that we've never seen before. And who knows, we might just discover something completely new and beautiful. How fun is that? We are going to treat our dahlia seeds the same way that we treat any of our other flower seeds that we're starting. I already have the tray set up. I'm going to just plant these maybe like a quarter of an inch, not really deep at all. And then we're going to cover it with vermiculite, just like we do with everything else. Now with dahlia seeds, you can pre-sprout them. That way you can check germination. So you would lay out the seeds in a damp paper towel, cover it up with another piece of damp paper towel, put it in a Ziploc bag, and then you can just tuck it on top of your refrigerator for a couple of days and see what germinates and what doesn't. However, I don't want to do that. I kind of want to skip that step. What I can do are with some of the seeds that look a little bit suspicious, a little too thin, we can go ahead and seed 2 per cell. And then if both of them pop up, I can go ahead and separate them into separate cells. So I like that method a little bit better. Of course, if you pre-sprout them, you do save the space because you're not going to sow anything that's not going to germinate. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Now with your dahlia seeds, I recommend you sow them 4 to 6 weeks before your last frost date. So we're kind of right in that sweet spot right now. So I cannot wait to get these planted and see what magic comes out of these. So let's go ahead and get a couple of varieties sown, and then we will go ahead and get everything labeled, and we will move on to our final project. All right, we are going to start out with Venus. And oh my gosh, did it produce beautiful seeds. Now I already went ahead and started all of these trays just like I normally do for all of our seeds. I'm using potting soil. I got it nice and moist. We got them tampered down. And then we are going to cover it with vermiculite. All of that is going to be the same for everything I sow. Really. And these are very similar to zinnia seeds a little bit, some of them in terms of their size. So we're not going to plant them too deep, but we are going to cover them. And I like just to put them on the surface like this, kind of push them down a little bit. And then we will come in with vermiculite and cover it and put it under the grow lights in our seed starting room. Out of all of the seeds that I grow, this is probably the one I get most excited about because you just don't know what's going to come out of these. And that is just something very fun to look forward to. So some of the ones that aren't very hard, I know those probably won't have a good, they won't germinate. So I am trying to pair those with ones that I know feel a little bit harder and are a little bit thicker. But with our luck, maybe everything will germinate. That would be really, really fun. And let's move on to a different seed. And then we will cover all of this together all at once. Celtic Rose next. This one produced a lot of good seeds too. So we'll just add this little tag right here so we know that this is the start of a new variety. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and just finish off this entire row here. And we will bag these other ones back up and then move on to Celtic Rose. Actually, guys, I changed my mind again. I'm gonna go ahead and do this whole tray with Venus seeds. Just can't make up my mind. I'm so excited about this one that I wanna grow as many as I can. All right, that looks good to me now. Let's go ahead and just cover it with vermiculite. And then this will be all good to go. All right, this tray is done and we will just cover it with a humidity dome, and under the lights, these go. Let's go back to the Celtic Rose. We'll do this one next. And I know I have doubles in our mix here, as in there's multiple seed heads that I saved of each variety, and I haven't combined them yet. So we actually may have a lot more available to us. Let's start out with these first. Okay, 15 cells of Celtic Rose. Next, let's do Bloomquest Vivian. I skipped a row, so I'm just gonna put more Celtic Rose in here. The 10 of her. And now let's go to, how about Desert Rose? That was another beautiful dahlia. Oh my gosh, just stunning, stunning color. And the Celtic Rose, those are KA Celtic Rose, and this is KA Desert Rose. Those are the dahlia mamas that these came from. All right, we have desert rose here. Next, let's do Fiona. We'll just do maybe one row. And you don't have to label any of your seeds. I just want to know what parent these came from. And I'm just such a nerd when it comes to stuff like this. So I am just going to take notes as best as I can and document with you guys on our way to discover the next cafe au lait. All right, last but not least, K.A. Peach. Okay, I think that will do it for the dahlia seeds. I will finish separating the seeds from the little chaffs, and then we will have more to sow, which again is going to be so fun this year. One quick note I wanted to mention is that these are not going to go in the cut flower garden. These will either go into the landscape, or I'm going to plant them out in little 6-inch containers, and they're gonna grow in those containers until I see them blooming. Now, if they look good, I will transition them either to the landscape or into the cut flower garden, but I don't have a ton of space to plant out hundreds and thousands of seeds like I would dream of doing one day. So I have to be a little bit methodical how we're going to do this, how we're going to execute this, so it doesn't get too overwhelming, but I still get to see each and every one of them bloom before we decide, are we keeping it or are we tossing it? So that is my plan. All right, for my garden arrangement, this is what I have. So these heucheras are actually going to be for another project. Now, the great thing about this is a lot of these plants we're going to reuse later in the springtime. So we're going to get 2 uses out of these. But first, I have these fire alarm heucheras, and I think these are so stunning. As soon as I saw this foliage, I thought, okay, we need to do something with these. I don't know, there's not a plant tag for this one. I'll see if I can find what variety this one is and pop it up on the screen. So I'm thinking to start out over here. We also have this hellebore, which look at that. Gorgeous, gorgeous flower. Now this one also needs to get planted out in the garden. I think I actually got this last season and never planted it out. But this is the Ice and Rose series, the Picotee. And I just think it's so pretty. And then I picked up the pansies. Look at that pansy, you guys. Look at the size of this little flower. Holy moly. Talk about flower power. She's stunning. So these are just a mix of Delta Premium Mix. That's all the tag says. So we'll use these two. And then I picked up this orange sedge grass. I just think these are so fun. These can go in the landscape. We used to have a ton of these in our landscape before I dug everything out and gave it to our friend. But now I'm like, I want them back. So you're probably going to see more of these in our garden at some point. I also picked up this ranunculus. Look at that color. And it's so funny because when I was there, I saw all of the peachy ones and I was like, don't be predictable, Claudia, because you know I'm always going to go for the peachy tones. So I went with this magenta color instead. And finally, we have this orange mint. 1, I like the foliage and texture of it. And 2, it smells amazing. And it's an edible, so I want to start incorporating more edibles in our ornamental containers. So let's go ahead and get set up and see what this is going to look like. All right, this is the bowl we're going to be using today. It has a little drainage hole at the bottom. It's not super deep, but that's okay because this is going to be a temporary arrangement. So we're just going to fill it up with a little bit of potting soil, and then we will get our plants in here. All right, that looks pretty good. Look, we even have a little worm friend in here. I'm going to leave it right in there. And let's start assembling our arrangement. All right, let's start out with our hellebore. And I'm going to plant this towards the back because this is not going to be a symmetrical container. I kind of want this to be on the back side. So we're just going to tuck her in just like that. So I'm thinking the heuchera back here. Okay. Let's go ahead and do the ranunculus here towards the front. I think this is going to be pretty. I was thinking about putting the ranunculus in the back here so we can have some of our taller elements, but it's not too tall. So I think it's going to be okay because I just want to see this heuchera kind of peeking out a little bit. And we can always adjust if we have to. Let's come in with our grass, and I'm just going to tickle the roots a little bit just to kind of fill in this space over here. Let's go with our orange mint right up here, kind of front and center. Treat it as a little spiller, just like this. I like that. And let's come in with our pansy right over here. And our last pansy, we're gonna tuck her in here so she can kind of hold this grass in the center like that. All right, let's go ahead and backfill our container now. And you know I'm probably gonna do some moss. You know me so well now. I'm just going to tuck these in like this, just kind of spread them out so we fill in this gap. I do have a couple of bulbs that I can pop in here, but I kind of like how you can see through it a bit. So I think, I don't know, I think I'm gonna leave it as is. Could also add another heuchera, but I just like how this is looking right here. Well, let's go ahead and water this in and moss it up. All right, I actually love the way that looks, but I do want to come in with maybe just a tiny bit of moss and just cover some empty space like that. I think it looks better without the moss. I removed the moss. Last minute change because I actually like how you can see the dark soil. I don't know, I think it just makes things pop a little bit more. I just feel like everything kind of felt a little bit flat, if that makes sense. It just felt too grown in, and I like to see the separation. There's just a lot more contrast with the colors and that dark soil. So let's just leave it like this, and we can always come back and put moss. But let me know, actually, vote down below. Do we put moss or do we just let it be and enjoy it like this? All right, what do we think? I love the way this turned out. Again, not super complicated, few different textures in here. I just love the brightness of it all. And I think I'm gonna put it on our little table in our cut flower garden. But how sweet are these blooms? And doesn't that just instantly cheer you up? I love a good little spring tabletop container. All right, we got everything done that I wanted to get done today. I'm so happy that I was able to come and just pot up those verbena. I know they were like, girl, get me out of here. I'm ready to be in a bigger home. I will go ahead and pinch those back because they've had time to grow. They have a few sets of true leaves, so you can go ahead and start pinching them back. And I do that with all of our seedlings. That's going to encourage a bushier plant. Not all of our seedlings, but the majority of them that require pinching. Again, we just fertilize them, so that is going to really help them with the transition. And I'll stay on top of fertilizing them now at least once a week, and then we will start to transition them outdoors. Again, with the dahlia seeds, I am so excited to see what those are going to look like. I'm just going to put them in the seed sorting room, let them go, and hope for the best that we get some unicorn out of all of the ones that we're going to be planting out this year. And of course, our little arrangement here, I just love being able to do these little smaller scale arrangements to pop them out on a table, or if you have like a little coffee nook outdoors, or in your entryway if you have a pedestal. This is such a great way to incorporate color without having to put up all of your big planters right now. So I don't know, I always enjoy these smaller containers in the springtime. Anyways, that will do it for today's video. I hope you guys are enjoying your day and you're getting out into your garden. Hopefully some of you don't have too much snow left to melt away so you can get out into your garden and just get into the soil, because I know you're all eager just like I am to get out there. So anyways, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today in my garden, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.